using that example, I mean, what is the role of leadership then in social systems from a sort of holistic perspective? Because I know for a fact that the ANC, for example, wasn't ready to engage in dialogue, and it was Mandela himself who actually went behind their back and as an individual started engaging in dialogue with P.W. Botha. So, and then of course it was also his leadership that and de Klerk's that helped to shepherd in this transition. So how do you see leadership as one of the elements of social systems?
Well, I think there are two kinds of leadership, and one kind is a traditional leader like Mandela and people like that, who has a vision, who is an exemplary human being, who has a vision, who has charisma, who can articulate the vision, who can embody it with his own personal behavior. This was always important and still is important. Of course, this kind of leader can also be a negative leader. Adolf Hitler was a great leader too from this point of view. He had charisma, he had a vision, he was able to articulate it in a powerful way. So we also need to talk about the values, of course. The other kind of leader, though, which is very interesting from the systemic point of view, is a person who can facilitate change, who does not lead with ideas, but who provides an environment in which this change can happen, in which this spontaneous emergence can occur. So in business, for instance, this would be a person who makes sure that there are networks of communications within a company, that there are feedback loops, that people have the opportunity of exchange ideas, of getting together, that they have the freedom to experiment, to question things. They have the freedom of failure when an experiment doesn't work, that the experimentation is in a sense as important as the success. And also a leader who can create an environment of trust, who knows that when this process of emergence happens, that a certain tension, a certain sense of crisis is part of the process. And when people have trust in that process, which will show itself as trust in the leader, then the change will happen. So I've been very interested in these two kinds of leaderships: the traditional leader who leads by communicating ideas and as an example of ideas, and the leader who facilitates emergence. Both are leaders who go somewhere where nobody has been. In the first example, it's an individual action. In the second, it's facilitating to help the community to go somewhere collectively where they haven't been.
Okay, that's interesting. Some of my research, I come up with something similar where I've got a purpose-inspired leadership model, and that has a facilitator as one type of leader, another one as a catalyst, which is something like what you're describing as charismatic. I also have the expert and the activist, which are slightly different.
Yes,
the expert is almost the thought leader, and the activist sometimes is the agitator.
Well, in this systemic view of leader, I don't know whether you talk about distributed leadership. The leader doesn't need to be embodied in a single person. The leadership can be distributed, and people can have various roles.